All right, I'm gonna start back up, and you guys obviously enjoy your food. Everybody got to get something. All right, so I wanted to get into prioritizing. All right, so you talk some about values and how you want to show up and what's important. Okay, we talk about work-life balance, and everybody talk about work-life balance is not great. And I've had that conversation many times, especially with work that, Mark can tell you how things get in Siemens anyways. But there's one thing also, the perspective of what exactly work-life balance is. And most of us look at it as, 50% work, 50% life, relaxed time, etc., which is not really true, okay? It's about what you put into that time. So many of us have a very hard time shutting off from work, or shutting off from social media, or checking emails, or reading articles, because it's all on our phones and extremely distracting. Okay, we get a million notifications throughout the day, so even when we're at work, we're very distracted anyways. But we have to think about really the quality. When I say you have to think about quality, it's really like with the people, okay, that we want to spend our time with. And I again mentioned this: the spouse, the kids, etc. Okay, with ourselves, right? The quantity maybe for the things, the cleaning that we have to do, all the chores, the tasks and stuff. Those are going to take a certain amount of time, and we'll talk about building routines and strategizing some of that later. But those are going to take time. Okay, the quality is not. You can only do laundry so good. You can only sweep the floor so good. It just kind of is what it is. But again, if I'm spending time with my kids, then that really needs to be quality time. Okay, me spending half a day with them but not really being present really means nothing. Okay, versus me spending an hour and I don't have my phone with me, and I'm not, just watching some mindless TV, but I'm actually spending quality time with them. Okay, I had to, like I said, I do a lot of chores, I do a lot of stuff. I had to go get the groceries today. Okay, so I didn't want to bring my girls because I needed to just get in and out, because also, obviously, I had this coming. So, my daughter, she usually comes with me. She wasn't happy that she didn't get to come, but in between me telling her that she can't come and me actually leaving to actually do groceries, we did play some tickle fall, and then when it was time for me to go, neither my 3-year-old or 7-year-old was upset when it was time for me to leave, because I spent some quality time with them, where they had all my attention for a little time. Okay, so when we're thinking about our day, and I'll be honest, I'm not really big on scheduling stuff, but I know now that I have to do it. But when we're setting up time, and if we're blocking out time to spend with our family, with our spouse, with etc., then let's make sure that it's actually quality time. You may not be able to spend the 4 hours that they really want, but if you actually spend that 1 hour of real quality, I'm connected to you, I am focused on you, that time, that will outweigh the 4 hours of sitting together, being on the tablet, being on the phone, or just watching some TV that neither one of you truly really care about. It will trump it every single time. It will strengthen a relationship every single time. Okay, so when it comes to dealing with people, we have to really think about quality versus just the quantity of time. Okay, the things that we have to do will always take up time, but again, we have to prioritize in that way, and again, connected to our values. Okay, I want to make sure no matter what I'm doing, no matter how many things I have on my plate, I want to make sure that my kids know that I'm there for them. Okay, I grew up without my father in my life. Okay, my mom worked full time. She worked 2 different jobs, and she was going to school. But somehow, some way, she made it to pretty much every single game that I played in it, and there was 4 of us. My sister passed away when she was 35, which is now 4 years ago. Okay, and we all played soccer, played baseball, did track, played basketball, and somehow she was there. No clue how. I don't think I could do it, to be honest with you. But she was there. So that meant something. So when she was busy, I respected that. We respected that. Because she always tried to make it there for things that were important to us. Okay, so there was always quality. And then she would do stuff like we would go for like a little picnic. You know, I remember going down to the, what's that place down in Boston? It has all the flowers and, I can't even think of. Arboretum, thank you. I remember going down to the Arboretum. I didn't even know what it was when I was small, but I remember my mom took us down there and we, you know, had a little picnic and stuff. But again, it was just that quality time. Those are things that I remember about, you know, the time with my mom. Okay? And again, it has to connect to your values of why you're doing anything that you're doing. Right? And so we talk about that distraction, and so let's have to talk about multitasking. Okay, multitasking is really, it's a myth, sort of. All right, so we try to work on many different projects at a time. All right, I've always been the type of guy, if you look at my Windows screen and on my computer, I have at least 20 to 30 different things open. I have music playing in the background. I have something else that I'm writing, and I may have a video on another screen. In my office, I have 3 screens that I always have on. It's not very productive if I'm trying to work on multiple things. We can't really multitask, right? I mentioned I have a 3-year-old. You ever been with a 3-year-old when they're watching TV and they don't know what to watch and they don't even know what they're watching? It's just click, 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 just going through the channels, all right? They have no clue what they're even passing, all right? That's your mind when you're multitasking, right? Your mind can only focus on one thing at a time. So when you think you're doing 5 different things at a time and you're actually thinking 5 things at a time, you're not. You're going from 1 to 2 to 3 to 2 to 1 to 5. That's what your mind's doing. It's all over the place. Okay, so your efficiency, how you can do things very well, you just cut that down by like 70%. So now you're doing each one of those activities at 30%. And I'm sure that's not what you want. That's never what I want. That's why I have to catch myself sometimes. All right? So if you're doing it at 30%, do you think you're going to do it faster or you're going to do it slow? So now you're eating up more time trying to do the thing that you're thinking is saving you time. And then if you're not doing it as well, you're probably going to have to go back again. Right? 2 or 3 times. So you just multiply your time by like 10. Okay? Then why I say the sort of when it comes down to multitasking? Because we can do things like, you know, listen to a book while we're walking. Right? Your body doesn't have to really focus on knowing how to walk. We've kind of figured that out by now. Most of us. So we can do things like that. You can walk or run and listen to a book, and your mind can take in that information while you're performing an activity. So with those kind of things, you can multitask. But we're working on projects, we're working on complicated tasks. You cannot do more than one at a time. All right, so your focus, your efficiency, your strength, it's gonna come from focusing on one thing at a time, which means saying no to other things at that time. Right? Which means maybe saying no to my daughter for right now, so I can hurry up and get this done. I've tried doing the, okay, daughter, you can come in and be next to me or sit on my lap while I'm trying to do this thing on the computer, and it takes an extremely long time. It doesn't work, right? It doesn't work. We want to make it work, but it doesn't work. I'm better off saying no, closing the door, blocking out my time, saying for half an hour, I need you to let daddy work. Or hour, or whatever it may be. Just let daddy work. And then after, we can play fill in the blank. Okay? That focused time where your mind can actually hone in on one task. And you can do it well, do it once, and do it faster will make you more efficient and make you also too make you feel more fulfilled. So, complete side note. When we leave tasks unfinished, okay, your mind doesn't know what time is. Okay? Your mind doesn't know what time is, and why is that important? How many of you don't even write down what you need to do during the day? Okay. But but in the morning, you wake up and you think of the 20 things that you need done that day. Then you automatically feel some stress because your mind sees those 20 tasks and says, I need to get all 20 things done right now. And then your mind says, that's kind of impossible. So then there's a stress that happens. Okay, you're setting yourself up. Writing down tasks, it helps. It definitely helps because now your mind's saying, well, I don't have to organize those things. So I don't have to keep that top of mind. I can think about something else. Okay? But at the same time, when we leave things undone, our mind doesn't like to leave things unchecked. So we get bothered by that. So when we have more distractions and we get 80% through something that we feel like we should have got done today, then it's still nagging at you, creating more stress, creating more anxiety, creating more pressure, creating more tension for yourself. Okay? And then you're just moving on to the next thing that you don't really get done because you're not even fully focused on that because your mind's still thinking about the other thing that you know you should have kind of sort of got done. All right? So eliminating those distractions and just carving out time to focus on what you may need to focus on, okay, will tremendously help you. And actually setting an end time, even if the task is not done, setting an end time actually creates a completion point for your mind. So that for that day, your mind closes that out. We're done. You said from 5 to 6, 6 o'clock, my goal, my task was to work on this from 5 to 6 o'clock. We did that. Good. We can move on. What's the next thing that we're doing? Okay? This is why scheduling, I don't like it all that much either. It seems so much like a waste of time sometimes, but again, it's actually going to buy you time at the end of the day. It takes time, but it buys you time. It releases some of the stress. Okay, it gives you more control. We all love to be in control, whether we admit it or not. Okay, it gives you more clarity. All the things that you need to perform better, to work on your goals, to know how to react to situations. All right, and so as far as riding your horse, okay, so that's a big problem for a lot of people in here.
Or riding our own horses.
Yeah, riding your own horse, riding your own horse, okay? Not anybody else's
Yeah,
horse.
everybody else's.
Yeah. Not How many people actually set time in the calendar to ride their horse?
In the summer I will, because I'll pretend to
Yeah,
be
she's-
working from home, and
Yeah.
I'll put my lunch break
Right.
that I have a meeting,
Right.
but I'll put my horse's name.
Right. But no, you laugh, but honestly, that's perfect. That's perfect.
My house and a half.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll put Darcy's. I should just put Darcy's name.
Just put Darcy. Put your horse's name. But it's like, you know, that's something important for you, right? If it was somebody else's task, right, you probably would have put something in, a reminder or something in there, right, to do it. this is something for you. Instead, we play this game with ourselves that say, okay, when I have free time, I'm gonna run over there and do this. As long as nobody calls me, emails me, nothing pops up, my child doesn't cough, and traffic's nice and the sun's shining, then yes, I'm all over it. I'm gonna ride the horse today. But really, how often does that happen?
Once or never.
Exactly. Exactly. If it's valuable for us, if it's important to us, then we have to block out time for it. We got to set a time for it. Okay, if you know how long it takes you to clean the stables, to make sure, well, I know Darcy, you do some of it too, but, clean the stables, make sure your horse is fed, check the health, everything like that, right? If you know how much time that takes, that should be built into that. Okay? If that takes an hour of time, okay, and say I have a horse, I don't, it would be cool if I did. But say if I did.
I can loan you one of
Yeah, that's all right. It's all right. I have enough on my plate right now. But if I communicate with my wife, and again, like we're gonna go through that goal sheet later. If I communicate with my wife and say, hey, every Sunday at 1 o'clock, I need to spend 2 hours down at the stable. Okay? What would you like me to help you with before that time? Okay, and whatever we got to do after that time when I come back home. Because I know I need an hour to get everything situated for the horse, take care of the stable, etc., and I want an hour of time for me riding. Okay, if I protect that time, like I would protect the time for somebody else, then I can get that in. If I don't prioritize that, if I don't set it up as something important, if I don't set it up as something valuable, then guess what? It's going to get the respect that you've deemed it as. It's not important. It's just something that's there that maybe you might do, you could do, you should do, but you're not going to do it because you haven't really truly made it as important as it really is to you. Okay? We all have a certain amount of time. We all have a lot of things that we need to do, but if we don't set that schedule up, that meeting up for ourselves, for the things that we need, it most likely won't get done. Okay, so procrastination. So procrastination is really just avoiding. All right, we do things most of the time to avoid pain, some things to gain pleasure. Okay, we do a lot more avoiding pain than we do actually gaining pleasure. All right, so when we're procrastinating, there's usually something that we're just trying to avoid. Okay, and you have to really look at yourself to think about why am I avoiding this? It may be pleasurable, but there's some pain involved too. And again, if we're not making ourselves important, okay, for me, with the animation, me not doing that, what was the pain that I was trying to avoid? Because I was already not spending that quality time that I was talking about because I didn't know how to do that before. So I was always distracted with my family. I was always available for work. And so me doing something for myself was like, well, I don't deserve that because I didn't spend this time over here. I need to do this. That was the pain that I was avoiding. And until I found that, I couldn't reset myself. I couldn't change some of my practices, some of my habits, okay, so that I know that, this is actually going to help me in the long run. Me having something fun, the kids can join in on it. Them making a cartoon, like my 7-year-old making a cartoon, how fun that is for her. We just made a guy just walk across the screen the other day and she was ecstatic, And so that turns into something now that's even quality time, but it's really something for me that's just fun. So you have to be real with yourself. You have to be honest with yourself of why you're doing certain things or maybe not doing certain things and how you perceive yourself as a fill in the blank, parent, husband, spouse, employee, entrepreneur, what you think you deserve, what do you think you've earned. You have to do like a true assessment. So goals, and I actually would like you guys to go to that goals worksheet. Everybody all set? All right, so this is something that I do for me, and again, something I'm going to be building into a online program that I'm going to have available next month, or I'll give it to you guys for free. But that's part of a much bigger thing called Power Goals. So setting this up, obviously, what is your goal? And I try to set myself up to accomplish 3 main goals for the year. Okay, just 3, no more than that. And I think about, what kind of person do I need to be to accomplish this goal? Okay, and that's really just looking at my character, looking at my habits. What kind of, do I need to be, more organized? Do I need to be, a better reader? Do I need to read more? Do I need to listen to more books? Do I need to practice whatever? What kind of person do I need to be? And this is not about changing, who you are as a person. Okay? What this is really about is adding to yourself, okay, the tools that you need to get to where you want to go. Okay, right now, you're where you are because of who you are. I've made it so far in so many things because of my character, because of my habits, because of my way of thinking, because my perspective on different situations. That has brought me to this point. So now I have to think about, if I want to step over here, what kind of person do I need to be? How do I need to think? Do I need to change my perspective on certain things? Do I need to open up myself to different ideas? Okay, and that's on what new habits. Now that I'm thinking about what kind of person I need to be, what kind of habits does that person have? Again, if I talk about the whole losing weight, what kind of person does this, what kind of habit rather do this person that is in shape? What do they do? How do they eat? How do they spend their time? What kind of workouts do they do? All right, because I want to think of myself more like that person. I'm going to take the example of people that already have the success in the area that I want success in. And I'm going to learn from their habits and their character. Am I going to do everything they do? No, probably not. But there's some tips that you can grab. There's some things that you can input in your own life that will benefit you. All right, and speaking of habits too, things that you need to stop. We don't think too much about that, but it's important. What are things that we need to stop, that we need to cut down on? It may not be destructive. Honestly, it may not be destructive to your health or anything like that, but if it's not helping you move to where you want to move to, I guess it kind of is. It's not helping, so it must be a detractor. So what's something that you need to stop doing? Maybe I just need to stop staying up at night. I spent the past 2 years, 3 years off of 4 or 5 hours of sleep. You know what? I was like, I could probably perform a whole lot better if I would just listen to these smart people that say get 7 to 8. I'm like, I don't agree, but I'll give it a try. It's I think I'm doing pretty good, but honestly, there's just so many studies out there. If all these smart people say to do that, then I need to humble myself and I need to do it. So I had to shift around my schedule and say, no, my focus is I'm going to make sure I get 7 hours of sleep at least at night. Okay, because this year, honestly, one of my goals is I want to be in the best health that of my life, really. So that's one thing that I have to do. Okay, and after all that, it's really just taking down the top three. Top three things to start, top three things to stop. Because you don't want to overwhelm yourself with your list of 20 new habits that you think that you're going to start. So, you know, your top three things that you think are going to be the most productive. All right, and how you're going to implement them into your daily routine. We don't think about routines all that much, but they're important. They're extremely important. You know, one thing, and I have it on the next slide, so we'll get deeper into it then, but more routines that you have, honestly, the less you have to think. And so you don't have to spend that energy thinking about every tiny little task you have to do each day, and you can spend that energy on thinking of the more complicated things. Or when things get all out of whack of your schedule, how to bounce back and how to take advantage of the new opportunity which came through as a problem. And so now goals 2. We talk about, I did mention already, just if I'm trying to lose weight, how I look at myself, how I think about myself. And if my goal is to be more organized, my goal is to be in the best health, right? Because that's actually one of my real goals this year. Okay, then I have to think of myself as a healthy person. Okay, I've been used to being tired, honestly. And I was like, that's just me, that's just the way I am, that's how I feel, but I still perform at a high level and everybody's usually excited, happy, and pleased. So it's fine. But I don't want to think about myself that way anymore. I have to think about myself as energetic. I have to think about myself as present, as focused, as clear-minded. That's the way I see myself. And again, 5 minutes a day, especially on your goals, your bigger goals. You spend 5 minutes a day just sitting down, closing your eyes, and seeing your future self, the self that you plan to be at the end of 2020, and experience that. Again, your mind has no clue what time is. That becomes something that becomes a memory in your mind. It becomes a sticking point to say, oh, okay, we actually lived that. Your mind doesn't know the difference. That's why when we think about a bad experience that happened like 10 years ago, you still feel the stress of it, feel the anxiety of it. Sometimes people can feel physical pain because your mind doesn't know the difference. When you visualize things, your mind lives it. So you can actually create memories in your mind of a self that you plan on being. That's a powerful tool for yourself. Again, you don't want to throw complete curveball, and yeah, exactly. But you want something that is going to feel right, that's going to line up with the image, but be a stretch. Okay, and again, if you took 5 minutes a day, you would see improvements. For the people that, teach people how to ride horses, okay, that people that are in competitions and things like that, honestly, if they spent 5 minutes a day practicing in their minds, they would actually see improvement in the field. Okay, and the more specific that they visualize this, if they let their imagination go to the point where they can feel the horse on the ground, or they can feel the breeze, that they remember the smells, okay, it becomes more real to the mind, right? There's actually studies of people that, there was one for throwing darts, And so they had people for 30 days practicing throwing darts, okay, and measured their improvement. They had people just plain old not throw darts and measure if there was a difference. And then they had a group of people that they had just visualize, okay, imagine themselves throwing darts. And the people that actually physically practice and the people that imagined practicing, their improvement was pretty much the same. Okay, if you actually study any high performance, like people are in sports and things like that, they use visualization all the time. All the time. We can use it in our everyday lives, honestly. You can actually think about in the morning when you're thinking about your 20 things that you need to do, you can think about that day actually going well. You know, I know that you had mentioned earlier about having this anxiety about all the stuff that you need to do and think about the worst case scenarios. I was listening to your conversation. but at the same time, we have a tendency to do that. We have a tendency to stray towards the negative, right? We feel like we're preparing for the worst. Okay, but we're creating all these negative things in our mind and actually not setting ourselves up for the positive that could. Okay, and I'm saying I'm picking on you because same thing. Okay, I spent years doing that. I spent absolutely all the time I would do that. But if we spend a little time, you just visualizing our day in the morning, okay, and picture each little meeting and stuff going well. Picturing yourself showing up present and active and clear. It would make such an improvement during the day. You already start the day before leaving the house as a success. This is again why a lot of successful people have like morning routines. All right? And that's another thing that I've put in my life. I wake up in the morning, drink some water, try to do a little exercise, do some stretching, do a little visualization, and that gives me the clarity and the peace. One, feeling like, you know what? I already did something good today. So if the whole day blows up, I got a victory. I won one. I got one. You know, and nobody can take that from me. Okay, and secondly too, is before all the kids and everybody else gets up, so I still have that time of peace. So I can just focus on myself for a little bit. Okay, nobody's calling me that early. Usually I don't even have my phone near me. Okay, so you can start your day off just with success. You can start your day off with a victory. Okay, and the power book, the power book is something that I just honestly recently thought of like last month. Because again, focusing on negatives, you know, we usually don't need reminders of our failures because we usually remember them like all the time. You know, we're pretty good at that. But how often do we really think about our wins? How often do we think about our successes? Okay, and so this power book that I decided really for myself to keep, and I think honestly would be a great idea for anybody to have one, is where I keep a journal of my victories. All right, any little accomplishment that I do, I'm gonna put in that book. Right? So I signed up for Tough Mudder for this year. Yeah, I know. That's how I feel too. So, so I signed up for Tough Mudder. Yeah. So that's in June. So, needless to say, I have to make sure I'm in shape for that so I don't die. And so I did track growing up, but do I like running? No. I liked winning, so that's why I did track. But I don't like running. But do Tough Mudder. It said, for those that don't know what it is, it's an 8 to 10K obstacle course. You know, you're climbing up ropes, you're crawling under barbed wire, you're doing all this crazy stuff for no reason except to say you did it. Okay? And so I know I have to run. Because I don't want to be embarrassed with the group that I'm in. I want to dominate because we all want to win. We all like winning. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go out for a run a Saturday morning, and went out I ran like 1.4 miles in about 15 minutes or something like that. But for me, you know, that was a win because I didn't stop. I wanted to stop, but didn't stop. I completed the whole thing, one lap around that led back to my house. And so I put that in my book. On this day, I ran this far in this amount of time. All right? Another day, I wanted to see, because I never did it before, I wanted to see if I could do 100 pull-ups. And I did. Took me about half an hour. But I did it. So for me, that was a victory. That was a win. That was something to put in the book. Okay? Things that, another place I have in there, I have things that I wasn't good at that I got good at. Okay? Like I said, I'm a supervisor at Siemens. Okay? We do HVAC, building technology, automation, do a lot of programming and things like that. So those units that we control, when I first stepped into that company, you know, they'd be talking about things. I had absolutely no clue what they're talking about. I didn't come from that industry when I was in college. I came from doing something else. All right, most basic thing we work on is an air handle unit. I had no clue what an air handle unit when I stepped in there, but they wanted me doing design on it, so I just pretended that I knew. But by the end of the year, okay, I ended up being one of the high performers. Okay, and that's something to say, okay, look, that's something I didn't know. That's something that, you know, I was able to do very well on. Okay, right now in the business, I'm very much a go-to guy, and that's a victory. Right, and I don't say that in a cocky way or something like that, but just there's things that you didn't know that you know now. There's things that you've had to learn in your journey. There's things that you've overcome. There's things that you've dominated. Okay? If you kept a book of that and you read that every once in a while, even when you're starting a new challenge, you can reinvigorate those feelings of success. Okay? You can bring up those feelings that, hey, like, I'm pretty good. You know, I don't want to, you know, get off my shoulder, but, you know, I got some skills. I can do something. I can do something new. I can overcome this challenge. I can dominate this situation. Because we always remember our failures. And the first thing that we always do when we start something new is think about how we failed right here. I remember, I tried to get organized last year. It didn't go so well, so I'm probably going to fail this year. Oh, I tried to do that, but it didn't really work out, so I don't know. But if we had something to bring back those emotions of when we did well, when we have succeeded, then we can bring that emotion, that power into the next thing. Again, which increases our chances of success in that area. Okay, and actually too, I know I didn't go over the backside of the goal sheet. I got excited, sorry. But again, setting up a time frame to set up that goal and milestones. Okay, you need to have some check marks in between your big goals so that you know you're on track. You have something to strive for, and who will be impacted. And I mentioned that pretty much multiple times today. Okay, if I have a goal in my life, my family is going to be impacted. There's not much that I can do that won't affect my time, my energy, whatever it may be with my family. So I need to think about that now so that it's not a problem later, and I'm not carrying all the guilt, you know, when my wife gets upset or my kids get upset or, you know, my mom needs something or whatever it may be, because I prepared for that now. Okay? And if I need help, if I need a coach, okay, I do coaching. Guess what? I have a coach too. Okay? Because I know that I have blind spots. It doesn't matter how good I get at all these, I'm gonna have blind spots. It's just natural. I'm human. Sometimes I want to be superhuman, but I just haven't figured that out yet. I haven't found that book. But if you do, let me know. But, you know, I need mentors. I need people to call me out when I'm not doing what I know I should be doing, or that I'm working at a weaker state than I could be. If I'm going to be at my best, I need somebody to help me see those things that I'm blind to. Okay, research needed. As far as taking care of the horses, like I know when we talked the other day, like what horse getting like an abscess and stuff, or it's on the foot. Oh, I've seen someone shows like in the mouth or something like that.
Yeah.
See, she's always trying to make me look. You know what I'm saying? Come on, Darcy, help me out. No, but as far as like an abscess and stuff, and you know, thinking of and doing research on, you know, all the best things to do to take care of your horse. Okay, having that research, having that, you know, you guys obviously have a community, so I'm sure you know some of you guys are at least talk about these things. But you know, what are the best practices? You know, how much research have you done on these things? Because if a problem keeps coming up, you know, how do you get ahead of it so that it doesn't become such a problem for you? You know, and if you're, again, trying to do something new, doing some of that research ahead of time, but also making sure you're taking action on the things too. But you don't want to go in just completely blind and then you're setting yourself up for failure. You know, maybe there's a book you need to read, a program you need to take, a membership you need to grab. You know, set that all up now, set it up early. Okay, so it's not guesswork later. So, routines and systems. So, Steve Jobs and Mark Zuckerberg, have you noticed that they have a very focused wardrobe? Okay, they pretty much wear the same thing every day. Do you guys know the reason for that?
One less choice they gotta make.
It really is. It's one less choice they have to make. Our willpower, our decision making, all that is actually some muscle. Right? So you wear it down during the day. This is also why the kids can get away with so much more at the end of the night than they can in the morning. Because by then you're, you know, working on fumes, as they say. You're just kind of riding the wave and like, just please, just stop. And just all right, and so having systems, having routines. Again, so if we're blocking out time to go ride our horse, and you know, we block out 2 hours, all right, and when we go there, we get to the stable. We know exactly what we need to do because we do the same thing every time. You do it faster, and you'll do it without thinking. Okay? Having a morning routine. If there's certain things you know you have to do every day, and knocking out a decent amount of that in the morning, but doing it every single morning because it's not something that you have to think about anymore, you're achieving things, but not wearing down your decision fatigue. You're not breaking that down. You know, we wake up every morning, we think about the 20 things that we have to do, and then we say, okay, well, we have to do that first and do that first, or maybe I should do this first. And, you know, some people that may not have to wear the same thing every day, I wouldn't necessarily suggest that. but at the same time, you know, even setting up your outfits for the week on Sunday. That's one less decision you have to make during each day. If your day consists of making a lot of decisions, of dealing with a lot of people, dealing with a lot of high stress, look at your life and see where you can just take away some of your decisions for that day. Okay, that you can set up a routine, that you can set up a system that you follow that will really relieve a lot of the stress that you have there. But again, you still have the output that you need. And sometimes a higher quality. Okay. Let's see. Yes, so do the work up front, and that's really like the goal sheets, doing the work up front. setting all that up, preparing for the obstacles, preparing for the problems that are going to come, you know, that's really doing all the work up front so that you don't have to do it later. All right, and taking time to reflect weekly, at least. All right, if you took, again, there's more time, right? But you took half an hour on Sunday before bed. Okay, you may not schedule your whole week or anything like that, but say you did schedule certain things. There were certain things you want to show up in a certain way. And sitting down for half an hour at the end of the week and say, okay, how did this week go? Was it just chaos? I tried to schedule a few things. I scheduled 10 things. I got 5 of them done. Okay, or I met 5 of them, whatever it may be. For the other 5, what could I have done differently? Or if I could do them again next week, what can I do differently next week that will raise my challenge, I can't even talk about, raise my chances of completing it. You know, if you want to go ride your horse, you keep mentioning that because I know that's one of the biggest problems in here. So if you scheduled that and it didn't happen, just sitting down and saying, okay, why didn't it happen? You know, I tried to block out the time. You know, Tali told me to block out the time. I blocked out the time. Still didn't work. So, but it's like, all right, what am I going to do differently next week? What actually stopped me from showing up at that time? Okay? That weekly check-in will help you to set up what you need for your life to actually create some success. But most of us don't take the time to actually reflect. We just say, that didn't work, that stinks, I'll try again next week. And then sometimes the same exact problem happens. But if we just took some time just to deal with that, then we would have been prepared for that next week. And we would have said, I got you this time. I'm going to show up because I was ready for you. Okay, we can't make progress if we're not tracking. Again, high performers, they track everything. But that's why they perform at such a high level, because they can tweak, they can adjust, they can do whatever little small things that they need to do to make the big impact. If you don't track, you don't know. Really what it comes down to is as simple as that. You don't track, you don't know. You can't make a change on things that you don't know. So, creating schedules, calendars. So, we know that life doesn't always play fair. We know that we try to make things happen and, you know, a child gets sick. You know, something's up with the horse. You know, an extra bill comes in. Whatever. You know, life doesn't always play fair. And so we have to be flexible and we have to allow ourselves to adjust. But again, doing some of those earlier things, setting up our values, prioritizing, knowing what's important. Okay, some of those things as it's setting up routines and systems will give us the space, will give us the energy, will give us the clarity, okay, to adjust to those things. But the biggest thing is that we can't let those things in life take us off our focus. Okay, it's very, very easy, and I've said it, you guys may have said it, but we let life happen, and then we say, it's just never gonna work out. It's just never gonna happen. It's not in the cards, or whatever words that you use. Okay, but we kind of just write it off and just say, well, it didn't work out twice, so it's just, I'm done trying. But that's why you need the why. That's why you need the purpose. That's why you need to know why you need to show up. That's why it has to be something powerful for you. Because obstacles will come. They always do. That's one thing that never fails. They will come. But we've overcome obstacles. Look at your power book. You'll figure that out. You can overcome that obstacle. Okay? Don't give up on yourself. Don't give up on what's important to you. Don't give up on your values. Because as a person, you respect yourself and what's important to you, you'll respect more of others and what's important to them. You'll be able to show up better and stronger and more loving and more patient and all those things that are important to you once you're blocking out your time for things that are important. Okay, once you know that this has tremendous value in your life, once you know that you're important enough to spend time doing the things that are just for you, okay, once you're spending quality time with the people that are important to you, once you know how to say no to some of the things that are honestly not that important. And so, in conclusion, it's all that take time to pay attention to your thoughts. How you're actually talking to yourself in each situation. Are you telling yourself that you can do it? Are you giving yourself the time and appreciation that you need? Okay, are you showing up for yourself? Okay, are you living up to your values? Quality over the quantity. Like I said, it takes a certain amount of time to clean the house. It takes a certain amount of time to drive to work. It takes a certain amount of time that you have to spend at work. They still expect 8 hours or more. You know, it takes a certain amount of time to deal with your customers or whoever else. It takes a certain amount of time to ride other people's horses. It takes time for those things. Okay, the more that you plan for that time, the better. But the more that you make sure that the time that you need to be quality, you kind of get all the noise out the way and make sure you're spending that quality time, then it doesn't have to be so focused on the quantity. It's still important. Don't get me wrong, that doesn't mean just spend 1 hour a week with people that you love. But make sure that the time that you do spend while you're running around all the time is actually truly like, I'm here for you. All right, take the time to reset. Again, 5 minutes. Taking some deep breaths, releasing whatever was just going on, releasing that last project, releasing whatever it may be, releasing that argument that you just had, whatever it may be. Releasing that, and then coming back with intention. How do I want to show up right now? Okay? Do I want to show up loving? Do I want to show up patient? Do I want to show up kindness and compassion? Do I want to show up focus? I'm going to a business meeting. Maybe I want to show up, very authoritative. Maybe I want to show up in power. Maybe I want to show up confident. Whatever it may be. But take that time to just reset yourself. Know how you want to come across. Okay, so you can get yourself in that state. And honestly too, that 5 minutes to escape, I'm gonna add on to that. And again, we'll stick to 5 minutes. We're using that visualization, right? And we talked about how your mind doesn't really know the difference. Okay, and sometimes you can't necessarily get away for a long time. But if you're in a place where it's very stressful, okay, you just stress to the max at this point, you can create a space in your mind to escape to. Okay, where technique kind of the same, but you can create a room in your mind. Maybe you're on a beach, maybe you're in a forest, whatever it may be, and take 5 minutes just to go there. you know, even if you have to escape to the bathroom for a minute, and just take some time to go there and just allow yourself to just release the tension. You know, I was thinking yesterday about, you know, nicotine. I don't smoke, I never did, but people relate nicotine with relaxation, right? They get stressed out, they want to go have a cigarette, right? But there's also chew. And I mean, people still associate that with relaxing. But at the same time, it's funny because both ways that people enjoy that are two things that people use naturally to relax. Because guess what? When you're having a cigarette, what do you have to do? Breathe deeply. It's forcing you to take deep breaths. It's forcing you to. Which is what you need to do to relax. And then, what do a lot of people do when they're nervous? Chew on this, chew on that, let me get that pen, chew on that. They chew to release tension. Just relaxing. Yet the two things that they have for their product are both things that people use to release tension and to relax. That's actually the most addictive part of the nicotine. Oh, it's not the nicotine, it's that. People, exactly. They get addicted to just that relaxed feeling. But it's things that we can do naturally. Okay, that's just something I was just thinking about yesterday. It's random. So blocking time and just creating boundaries. You know, taking time to focus, taking time to say no. You know, it may be no to your child, maybe no to your spouse for that time. So you can give your focus time to whatever you need to get done so that you give them your focus time. Okay? Because splitting between the two is not helping anybody. Your distracted energy for them is not much. And I'm sure when you're talking to your spouse or your friends or whoever it may be, and they're on their phone or they're just kind of in the middle of a TV show and stuff, you're like, you're not really listening to me anyways. You know, we know what that feels like. So we can be intentional about actually being present. I was actually reading a book, listening to a book. I listen to a lot of books because I'm always driving, I'm always on the road. And it's called Indistractable. You know, and it talks about being distracted and all those things and stuff. So he was talking about how in the morning him and his wife, they set up a routine that they're gonna get up at 8 o'clock or whatever, and that first hour of time, they're just going to be present. They're not allowed to use any computers, not allowed to use any phones, tablets, etc. Okay? And at the beginning, it didn't go too well. Not because they were arguing, but because it's like, oh, I just gotta check this one last email, and then like me and you, big, and then you know, one email turned into, it's like, all right, I'm checking that. So then she felt permission, was like, all right, let me just do this real quick, and then that just turned into media time, and then it just didn't happen. And then the next time, one of the kids woke up early, and so it didn't happen. So then they had to set honestly stronger boundaries, and they're like, no, we have to commit to this. And they even told the kids, it's like, hey, between 8 and 9, you don't get to bother mommy and daddy. After that, you know, game on as usual, but between 8 and 9, it's like, this is our time. And he said that it honestly did wonders for their relationship, you know, for their marriage, for their intimacy. It changed the game. Because they were present, fully present with each other for an hour. Okay? Just to be, just to communicate. Okay? Just to have that space. And that's something that you can think about too. I don't know what your situations are. Okay? But it's important to have that time. It's important to have that quality, no TV, no electronics time. Right? And so, our goals. Right? What do you really need to do to succeed in those goals? Who do you have to talk to? How's it going to affect your spouse, your kids? How's it going to affect everything else around you? Okay? What habits do you need to start? What habits do you need to stop? Okay? What habits do you need to maybe do more of that you're already doing, but you're just not doing it enough? Okay? What do you need to learn? Is there a book you need to read? Audiobook maybe? You know, is there a course that you need to take? Is there a membership you need to have? What do you need to actually truly be successful in reaching that goal? Don't just set a goal and say, okay, yeah, I'm gonna do it. It's like 83% of people quit their goals by February. It's probably like 70% by now that those whole New Year's resolutions they've given up on. Right? Because we write this list and we have no clue how we're gonna get there. We don't plan for it. We don't set anything up. We just say, I'm gonna show up, I'm gonna do it, and it's just gonna happen this year. First obstacle is like, all right, I'm done with this. Okay, too hard. All right, tracking your progress. If you don't know, you can't change it, right? You can't change a problem that you don't know you have. If you're not tracking what's going on, you can't adjust. You don't know where to adjust. Okay, you're blind to it. So just even setting up half an hour just to track what's going on in that situation. Okay, will give you clarity to step into it the next week to make better choices. Right? And take time to paint your picture. So with that one, I'm gonna actually, I didn't know if I was gonna tell this story or not, but I think I will. So back when I was in high school, like I told you guys, I played a lot of sports. So I played basketball, and you know, growing up, my confidence wasn't the best at all. I had a very negative self-image. Right? Part of why this is important to me, why helping others and such is important to me, why I guess I really started in all this, because growing up, essentially, you know, I didn't like myself, I hated myself. But I didn't want anybody else to feel the pain that I was feeling inside. So I made sure that you had a friend, and you had a friend, and you had a friend, and you had a friend. And if you needed to talk, then I was right there. What do you need? What's going on? That's happening. You know what? Let's talk about it. Let's deal with it. Okay? That's who I was growing up. And so I've always had a heart for people. And through all that, I've learned to understand and connect better with people. But again, my self-image was a bit tarnished, okay? Because stuff to my father and other things like that. So, basketball. Junior year, was on the varsity team, didn't play a whole lot. Thought I was good. The assistant coach thought I was good, but the main coach, he had his favorites. I understood that, but I wanted more game time, but it affected, again, how I saw myself. So at the end of the season, I was like, all right, coach, what do I need to do? What do I need to do to play some more senior year, blah, blah. So he said, join the Bay State games. All right, Bay State games, if you guys don't know that, I don't even know if it's still around, but it used to be a competitive league that was statewide. Okay, you had to try out and stuff for your region of Massachusetts, and they had it in pretty much every sport. Okay, so it was something that I didn't even think I was going to make the team. Okay, you have guys that are trying out, that go to summer camp every single year, that get trained by this person, trained by that person. I was just a kid that liked basketball. So me and my friend, we went down, tried out, made the team, win. Right, performed pretty well. Awesome. Okay, fast forward, senior year comes around, you have intramurals, right, before the actual basketball tryouts and season starts. and I'm performing at a high level. I have my friends, they all call me Jordan and all that stuff, you know, blowing up the head, ego's just out of control, right, at this point. And, you know, it was awesome. Preseason starts. You know, you tryouts, made the team, preseason starts. We're playing against higher division teams. Okay, one of those teams was actually my old high school. And, you know, again, I'm performing. I'm doing very well. I'm playing confidently, okay, because I see myself differently. And I remember I went by my old high school and the kid came up to me and was like, hey man, I heard you were playing. I heard you got really good and stuff. And again, ego boost, right? Because people at my old high school, like, they noticed because we played them the game, okay? So I'm thinking, all right, I'm a shoo-in. I'm gonna be playing some this year. Like, wonderful. First game of the real season starts, and on the bench. Okay. All right, next game. Next game, nothing. So went right back to square one. And so what did that do for me? I went back to square one. I put back on the old image. Then when I did get in the game, I didn't perform well. It's not that the talent was gone, but how I saw myself changed. I wasn't playing confidently. I didn't expect to do well. I was trying to prove to the coach that I was good enough. But come from a place of fear and, you know, just negative. And so, when I say take time to paint your image, okay, your self-image, how you see yourself, you need to paint that image. I let my coach paint my image. And he destroyed the picture. He didn't intentionally do it. Most people don't intentionally do it. But you can't let somebody else paint your portrait. It's between you and God. You have to take time to make sure you protect that image. You have to make sure you take time to build that image in a proper way. Because it's going to affect everything you do. It's your great thermometer. It'll be your greatest asset or your greatest limitation. And that's all I have for today. We can start Q&A. I don't know if anybody needs to get up, go to the bathroom or whatever else, or grab another drink. You guys want to take 5 minutes? Oh, they're gone?
No, we have dessert.
Oh, dessert too. So you want to grab dessert and then we'll do Q&A?
Hold up right now. Hold up right now.
Yeah. Good. I don't have answers for I'm glad you enjoyed it.
I got my work phone back, by the way.
Thank you,
Yeah.
thank you.
All my contacts.
Nice to see you, see you.
So like ring number. That's pretty funny.
Got it.
Maybe I have, maybe I have.
Fun day.
You go to the marketing places or just get along well?
I've been doing these just like on social media, just doing more things. Yeah, so this month I haven't done much because I'm kind of restructuring how I want to do things. But I'm going to start, as far as social media goes, I'm going to start doing a lesson on stuff. And, but that's actually what Martin invited me to. He saw me just doing stuff. I'll do this little thing, just how to coach days, little 5-minute things each morning. It's going good for a lot of people. So,
I know those people that I would get a phone call because that's the way
It just feels like you get beat. There's a really good book written for his stuff. How to be 10% happier. Yeah, it's phenomenal. Because that's what got me into it. Assuming that basically they meltdown on air, live national ABC. If you're looking forward to like to look into it, his book is ridiculous. And he like breaks it down so simply and so easily. He like does all the, as you know, like the questions like you're like no way, and then it's like oh this is 1, 2, and 3. It's like
exactly. That's exactly what I want from my
sorry, I didn't mean that. You mentioned it like
I said this. You were intentional about how you
oh really?
really to come down. And it's like you set up the time. Like, okay, why don't you guys do this? This is what you do. And then focus. So you need to do that. And then you say, okay, you try to get a lot of us. Not everybody's gonna
Today he can't because he's over there.
but we also do it. And, you know, and that's why I didn't have to talk to me. I have to spend this time to do this. You know, and then, but every Friday night, you know, we got a movie night or something like that. And she gets and, you know, sometimes too, I try to tell her, it's like, okay, like, you know, the TV's out, I'm like, wait, can we just come? It's like, I just want, it's not beautiful, you know? You know, so it's you know, it's a give and take. Yeah.
Lay down, get comfortable, clear your mind, focus on where you're, how you're laying in bed, and it's like,
That's awesome. Yeah. Right. Yeah, so it's like, no, you don't want right. Alright, that's fine. That's good. That's good stuff. I'm gonna grab some.
color, silver color.